What's going on, everyone? It's Phil. It's Trae with Mastercrafted, and I am in the presence of the #1 CSM player in the world after this weekend. A well-deserved victory. Trae, congratulations. That is an incredible achievement. You must be elated.
I am ecstatic. It is a ton of fun. It was something I was working for a while. And to finally see it happen, I'm like, yes, I don't know how long I'll hold it, but we'll do our best.
Yep. So the Colorado Cup was this weekend. That is where you got all the points from, Trae. So you were the #1 CSM player in the world for ITC. And we'll just take a little scroll down here, going 5-1, losing your first game into Tyler Stice, if I remember correctly, on his Death
Yes.
Watch. Incredibly close weekend, and going 5-1 and fighting your way all the way back. That is an incredibly impressive achievement. How did your weekend go overall?
It went great. It was so fun. I love whenever all my boys can get together. We have dinner afterwards. Like, for example, my team and Phil and his guys got together at the end of day one. We had sushi, hung out, talked 40k. But I had a fantastic time, and I think what I learned the most from this tournament and what I'd like to let everybody know is stop dropping. It's just have fun. You're here for a GT. You're not going to be the guy who wins it every single time. I will admit this is the most fun GT I've been to because I lost round one and immediately was like, oh, great, pressure's off. Like, all I got to do is play and hang out. And that's what I did is, had a great time. Tyler was a great player, very close game. I actually lost by 1 point, and what he needed to do to win the game was I had Bile in the center. Bile got Storm hostile in Tyler's turn because he accidentally battle shocked something, but he needed to kill Bile to prevent that. And the only thing he had to kill Bile, because his big Indomitor brick was on my home burning, and then his last unit was in my deployment zone getting sabotage. He had what's the indirect kill team, Phil?
That is the Fortis brick.
The Fortis brick. He had 3 models left in the Fortis brick. One with a Power Fist plasma pistol, and the other 2 with just normal close combat weapons. I was already in combat with them on the objective. I got to fight first. He only got to shoot pistols at me. He hit and wounded the plasma pistol, so I had to blank it with Biles once per turn blank. And then going into combat, Biles at full wounds. He has to kill me with a single power fist and 2 close combat weapons. And I failed every save in every field, Pain. It was so sad. I was like, no! But, great game overall. There's many things I learned from that game. But afterwards, it was chill.
Yep, the pressure is off at that point, and you definitely made the most of it, winning, having an impressive run, and running through 5 games in a row and getting 5 Ws. I know we just did a list review for the tournament recap as a whole with Ben Neal, so I strongly recommend giving that video a watch because you can see Trae talk about his list and Ben talk about his list, both resulting in a great tournament weekend. Ben obviously winning it all with iron hands. Yeah, so Trae, why don't you give us a run through? We're going to do rounds 1 through 5, just a quick synopsis of the opponents that you played and the list that you played into. And then we're going to go a nice in-depth version of on TTS of the final round that got you to 5-1.
Yeah, perfect. But we kind of talked on game 1 a little with Tyler Stice. Great dude, playing Deathwatch, fantastic player. So going into this tournament, I made a gamble. I failed that gamble round 1, but it's okay. I built my list for layout 1, and I said, day 1, I will just be able to outskill a couple opponents, and, even though my list isn't that good on layout 6, I'll be fine. Well, I got Deathwatch on layout 6, an open board against a fantastic player. I believe he got second at LVO one year.
He did.
And I was like, oh, shucks. Very back and forth game. I talked with Phil before the game. We basically came up with a game plan of just tag as much stuff as possible. I did that throughout the game, and it worked very well for me. Just a couple dice rolls either way. Could have gone either way, but I made plenty of mistakes. I'd say my biggest mistake during that game was allocation on my first turn. I charged a indomit one of the indirect bricks with Bile, Mom, and 5 Chosen. He heroicked with his fights first guys. He killed a couple models, but then I hit his Indomitor brick, and I tried to precision out the Watchmaster with Qatar Garrix, who has anti-character 2-up precision, instead of just killing models. And he made every single 3-up. I missed out on all that damage that could have just been killing models. And me and him agreed that was just terrible allocation, and he rolled so many 3s that would have just been 4 dead units. So in the next turn, when my Terminators overwatched them, that unit would have probably been dead, and huge point swing there. But fantastic game. Going into round 2, another great opponent, Cody Knoll. At this point, that game was rough for Cody. He had Blood Angels, just couple captains, Mephiston, Sanguinor Dante, some Sanguinary Guard, some trash, 2 Ballistas, 2 Vindicators. So a very aggressive list, and he played it way too aggressive turn 1. Basically, turn 1, I had a Ballistas in my face. He charged Dante and 3 Sanguinary Guard into my Terminators turn 1, which I wanted him to do. I left it open for him because I was like, okay, on the charge, they probably kill 4 dudes. In the clapback, I have reroll hits and sustained. I will kill the unit, if not severely injure it, right? And that's exactly what happened. He charged. He only killed 3 dudes. I picked up the whole unit in return. And then I proceeded to kill a scout squad, a JPI. The Sanguinor came down and tried to. He precisioned out Bile, which Bile got back up on a 2-up, reattached to the unit. And then the Sanguinor died. The Calidus Assassin died. The Combi Weapon Lieutenant died. The Ballistas died. And then the second unit of Sanguinary Guard died. So I killed probably 1,400 points my turn 1. And then turn 2, he tried a 9-inch charge from Deep Strike. He brought in his Vindicators, killed 4 models and my Mom brick, and then conceded the game there because he missed that 9-inch charge, and I had him tabled turn 2.
Yeah, it's tough. Aggressive armies. It's very easy to fall into the trap of oh yeah, there's an opportunity, I can send it here. Into some armies that can work absolutely if you can tie a few things up. They don't have fallback, shoot, and charge. They're pinned into their deployment zone, and you trade it with a good asset. The problem is for very few armies, you can't really trade into CSM well, especially the possessed and chosen bricks. They are durable. They have 3 wounds apiece. Blood Angels are only 2 damage apiece, right? They're gonna struggle into those larger bricks, and there is a little bit of redundancy. Although no defensive strats, you're you're gonna deal with what you got to deal with. There's gonna be no surprises there, but definitely you have to have a tempered approach when dealing with another aggressive army, especially that's in boxes.
Yeah, exactly. You got to be very careful. And if it looks like I'm giving you something juicy, I promise you it's not that juicy. I want you to take it. Or I don't, and I'm hoping you think it's a trap. You never know. But yeah, that was game 2. Game 3, I played against another one of our locals, Austin Huff. Great guy, fantastic, absolutely phenomenal painter. I'm just gonna gush about this guy's paint job. His fulcrum, oh my god, I could not I was just staring at it. It was beautiful.
Yeah,
but very off meta list. Fearless Bladesman, Fulgrim, triple Lord Exultant with Infractors. One had a double fight enhancement. The other had a +1 damage enhancement. Cacophonous with Noise Marines, 3 units of Noise Marines, 2 units of Spawn, 2 units of Tormentors. Very cookie cutter EC list, just in Flawless Bladesmen. They have Fight on Death, just a bunch of damage. But this game, he made a mistake. He put his damage 3, Lord Exultant, on his natural. So I literally said that was the thing I'm most scared of in this army besides Fulgrim. And I went the complete opposite direction. I did not go towards that objective at all and just ran away. Turn one, it was Purge the Foe. I stuck Cypher in the center and I was like, come get him. Like, the only thing he had that could come shoot Cypher reliably was a Mauler Fiend or charge him with Spawn, which I put Bile and 10 Chosen behind the wall to heroic if need be. So he brought the Mauler Fiend. The Spawn came out to do an action. Mauler Fiend shot 4 Melta shots hitting on 3s, and he wounded with 2. I failed both saves, but then he only rolled 3 damage. So Cypher lived. I got a bunch of units in return for free. And then afterwards, there was one big turn where Fulgrim lived on 2 health, completely crippled my Terminator brick. Well, he fought first, hit my Terminators, then lived on 2 health, fought first again, hit my Terminators, and I was very nervous. I was like, oh, this went so bad. But he overcommitted that turn because Fulgrim lived. He shoved his army at me, didn't kill nearly enough, and then from there, I just tabled him and took his home objective. Very great player, but Flawless Bladesman just didn't have the oomph to hit me back, essentially.
Yeah, if only there was like a +1 damage strat or something that could get them over the hump. But Fulgrim is interesting tech. But right now, anything big, there are answers in the meta for. And it can be tough to deal with because everyone's hunting Necrons. Well, that means Fulgrim is right in the line of what everyone's prepared to hunt as well. Your next round was into Ultramarines, Blades of Ultramar. This is your first time seeing it over the weekend. Alex Josh, this is not a Colorado local, so why don't you talk us through how this game went for you?
Oh, yeah. So, I felt really bad this game. So this is Alex's first tournament. And after day 1, a bunch of people came up to me and they were like, so you sandbagged round 1 so you could go kick a bunch of people around on the bottom tables. And I was like, come on, guys, I didn't sandbag. But he was a great guy, good army. Ultramarines, personally, I'm not ever worried about it. I'm just like, it's Space Marines. I know how to deal with it. I'm much more worried about Necrons. It was just he overcommitted. So turn 1, he staged a little aggressively, put some scouts in the center. He put Calgar. This was now on layout 1. So I am through my bad layout 6, and now I just get a day of staging rhinos in the middle of the board and telling my opponent, I get your home next turn if you do nothing about this. It was fantastic. But he put Calgar in the center rune off the terrain in that little pocket. The scouts in that center rune. G-Man was behind Calgar. Combi Lieutenant on his natural with, what was I going to say? The Wardens of Ultramar. I was top a turn. It was Terraform, so I terraformed the center and with Cypher and my natural with the Rhino. I had the Rhino out to bait a Vindicator to come kill it. He popped my Rhino, but I still score the primary because the stuff outside gets out onto the objective. But that subsequent turn, because he put the Vindicator out, I made a risky play, but I knew it would blow the game wide open if it worked. I deep strike my Terminators for the 9-inch charge. They can re-roll it for free with the free strat. Bile came in, shot and killed the scouts. And then the combi weapon lieutenant reactived away, brought in Noise Marines from strategic. They shot off the Wardens, and then I charged Calgar. G-Man heroic. So this was the saddest activation of the whole event, Phil. 10 chosen plus Bile into AOC Vitrix. I spent a CP for +1 attacks. I killed 2 Vitrix and left 1 on 2 wounds. So I did 7 damage. I handed him an absurd amount of saves. He hit so many 3-ups, and I just sat there and I was like, oh no, this was not supposed to happen. And then in return, he killed all 10 chosen. Bile happily did not die that turn, so Bile was going to die in the next turn, which is always good. And then the Terminators made their 9-inch charge, killed that Vindicator. because looking at his list, I go, okay, Vindicators are the only thing I care about shooting my Terminators. And I did the math in my head. If he shoots 2 Rep X's and a Vindicator into my Terminators, even with those, he's only going to kill like 6 to 7. And I'm fine with that because I either I kill this Vindicator or I soak up all of his shots and I stage aggressively. He only killed 2 Terminators. He low rolled because I'm saving on 2s against all the Rep X's shots. And then, his Vindicator rolled a 1 on shots, rolled a bunch of 1s to wound, and then I just spiked 5 4-ups. And it was just like, okay, you kill 1 model. After that, he was tabled because he lost his home, he lost a bunch, like 2 of his vehicles, the Calgar brick, and everything afterwards. But great player, great guy. His first tournament, he did very well. He wasn't feeling well afterwards, so he did end up dropping after this round. But shout out to Alex. He had a great time, and I hope to see him again at the Colorado events.
Yep. It's definitely an interesting list, and obviously has the guns to do well on layout 6. Sadly, I'm not a huge fan of Gilliman. 140 points feels very high for me in terms of what I'm actually willing to pay. But double Rep X plus double Vindicators, Noblest is in here, but geez, that is a lot of guns, and it's efficient across the boards. Yeah, it doesn't shock me that this was doing well after the first round.
Exactly.
All right, next up.
Round 5. This was a sketchy game. Oh my goodness gracious. So, Custodes, another local to the meta, Michael Lebrow, good dude, morale check, seen him around a lot, but have never played against him myself. Very intensive stat checklist. Double Land Raiders, 2 Calades Grab Tanks, Lions of the Emperor, 2 Shield Captains in Terminator armor with 6 Alaris Custodians each, a 4-mana Custodian Guard, a 4-mana of Sisters, and the Calidus. This game I honestly probably should have lost this game from what happened in this game. So, I stage aggressively like I always do. He popped 1 Rhino, which is fine. It's like if I get turn 1, the Rhino stages super aggressively and I can get tempo. If I get bottom of turn, I get the advantage of getting bottom of turn and they get a Rhino. That's usually what I do. So pop the Rhino, killed a couple Noise Marines. We kind of go back and forth because the Chosen. So this game, I actually attached Huron to the Masters of the Maelstrom and 5 Legionaries. So I didn't go through this the previous games, but it swapped every game. So round 1 into Tyler Stice, it was 5 Chosen, Mom, Huron. Round 2 into Emperor's Children. That was the same layout because they were just as fast as round 2 was Blood Angels. So into Blood Angels, I actually did Mom 5 Legionaries and then Huron and 5 Chosen, so I could have more MSU to take out his units and tag stuff up. And then round 3 into Emperor's Children, same as round 1, attached Mom, Huron, Chosen, so I could match his speed and get my unit in because I didn't need help killing any of his stuff. I just needed to match his speed. And then into Ultramarines, I did MSU, so Huron 5 Chosen, Mom 5 Legionaries, because I just need to hunt down all of his trash, and then whenever he puts something big on an objective, Mom and 5 Legionaries will be just enough. And then this round, Custodes, it was Huron, Mom, and 5 Legionaries, because he's super elite. I need to kill the big things when they touch. However, something really bad happened round 2. So I stage very aggressively. I wrap his Land Raider round 1 with 5 Chosen because that was the intent the whole time. I had the 5 Chosen on their own so that they could go super fast, only spend 1 CP for an auto 6-inch advance, wrap a Land Raider, and keep it from, dumping Alar's Custodians in my face. So, basically turn 1, he shoots my Rhino, I wrap his Land Raider, he falls back, does nothing that turn besides, do actions. And then my turn 2, I shot 10 Chosen and Bile towards his home. He had defend. I was going to be denying him all basically down to 5 that turn, 5 primary. I had a 5-inch charge into the Custodian Guard on his home. I missed it with a reroll, so I lost 10 Chosen and Bile for free. I did not get the 8-point swing of denying defend and denying 5 primary. And then the Land Raider that my Terminators had wrapped, they killed. So now the Custodians were out of that Land Raider. So everything went wrong that turn, and I was like, oh no. But the next turn came around, killed all my Chosen, and I think his biggest blunder of the game. So I don't gotcha people. I told him Blood Surge would happen. It's to the closest unit. So he brought a Gravis tank closer to my Terminators than the unit that got out of the Land Raider. He moved those Terminators a little closer. I overwatched them, killed 1 or 2, but the Grav tank could not be closer to my character. So I pulled the models closest to the Grav tank whenever he shot me, and then I Blood Surged into the Terminators. So that kind of saved me because my Terminators were not only able to kill his sisters, the Land Raider, and almost kill that Lars Terminator brick. But that kind of really helped me in the game. And after that, I was able to out attrition him and get bottom of turn scoring. But very close game. A great shout out to Michael. And now we get into the final one, the meat and potatoes of it all.
All right, so we'll go over the list quickly first because you went into another Colorado local, well, technically up in Wyoming. This was Cody Heck. He was running Brand Fast, a different detachment that we have normally seen out of Leagues of Votann. So he's got an Iron Master with the Cyber Implant. He's got Grimnir. He's got a Strategist. He's got Uthar. And then 2 units of Hearthkin, both 10-mans. 2 Cat Carriers, 1 Sagittar, 6 mana Thunderkin with Conversion Beamers, 2 units of Thunderkin with Conversion Beamers, 2 HLFs, a unit of Hearthkin Pioneers, a unit of Jaegers, 2 units of Jaegers. Oh, interesting. And then 1 big unit of Steeljacks, which I absolutely love. These are the shooting Steeljacks, not the fighting Steeljacks, but still very, very solid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was. Oh boy, that was a list. I honestly went into it and I was like, oh my gosh, this is going to be easy, right? He doesn't have the usual damage pieces of Votann, no berserkers to kill all my 3 wound bodies, none of that. Boy, was I wrong. This was a banger of a game, and I will say we'll go through the game, but that 6-inch disembark stratagem is insane. It is super hard to deal with. So this was our deployment for round 1. So if you look over here, everything in the transports, he had 3 Thunderkin off the board. This Sagittar had 5 warriors. This one had his 6-man brick of Thunderkin with character. They had the sustained hits 2 enhancement, and then the Capricus carriers with some Jaegers, strategist on the 6 Steeljacks. In this Hecaton was 10 warriors with Grimnir, and then Uthar on his home with 5. If we go over to me now, this is after I had redeployed. I have 10 Terminators here. Basically, I deployed them here because I can just uppy downy them whenever I want. And then I noticed he didn't put a single Hecaton on this angle, because usually I'll put my Terminators over here to threaten people who want to push me turn 1 here and hit my natural with something important, because then I can string them back right here behind the wall there within 6 inches of the board edge. So I can just shoot forward 11 inches, free strat, advance, shoot, and charge, and spend 1 CP for auto 6-inch advance, get a guaranteed charge, punish that, which he didn't do, which I was happy. So Terminators over here just to get him to essentially put his big unit of Thunderkin on his natural side so I could try to avoid it as much as possible. And then in the center on Rhino 2, we have the Mom and 5 Legionaries attached together, Huron and 5 Chosen behind the wall. the cultists strung out on my home, and then Bile and 10 chosen the rhino here. And then the far rhino has Cypher, 5 legionaries, and noise marines, with 6 noise marines off the board. So he did win the roll off for first turn, so he went first. Let me pull up my phone real quick so we can follow along the score and what the secondary pulls were. So here, Phil, can you lock in these secondaries real quick? There we go. Lock those in, lock these in, and we will start this game. So turn 1, Cody drew area denial and cleanse. So let's grab those real quick. Area denial and cleanse. Great secondaries, turn 1. That's a free 10 right there. Not something I want to see against this army, but his scout moves were basically this unit of Jaegers went forward. This unit of Jaegers just kind of went a little closer. They didn't change that much. And then Capricus Carriers went forward, Sagittar, and then his turn. He advanced these Jaegers, strung them out here to block my movement. When he did this, it triggered my reactive move for Huron, so all I did was line the wall exactly close just to increase my threat range if I wanted to do anything. Turn 1. Because there's just, if he decides to charge me, I just get that unit for free and some extra movement. So there's nothing that really punishes me here. Capricus came up to the natural, toe touch. Sagittar came here, and this is where that 6-inch disembark stratagem comes in here, Phil.
Yeah.
Is he can interact with both objectives with a sticky objectives high OC unit. So he does it in his command phase. He scores the primary and stickies it so he can then move the unit back into the transport afterwards. So I needed to stop that as soon as possible. This carrier just staged here to deny my primary for a turn. And then these Jaegers came to the center to get area. And then, he double cleansed. I believe the Pioneers just screened. Steeljacks moved up a little. And then this was his turn 1.
Yeah, so looking at this right off the bat, Trae, it seems like he did a great job in terms of prepping for preventing you from trading on his natural objective. He's obviously looking to hold that in a meaningful way, but then obviously he's got the disembark strat if you do anything crazy, because he could put decent OC on there and on the middle objective, which means he is threatening, because this is round 6, this is take and hold. He is threatening a potential 15-point turn 2.
Yeah, he most definitely is. This was a very hard nut to crack. I think for like 10 minutes trying to figure out what to do. The best way to deny him as much primary as possible while picking up as much trash as possible in a single turn while giving him the least amount of stuff. So at the end of his turn, I free strat. I pick up my Terminators here. So they go back into Deep Strike. I can turn 1 Deep Strike them here, but as you'll see later in the turn, I decided it was just no good. I saw nothing that benefited me, and with this Hecaton back here, with the 6 dudes, no matter where I put my Terminators, he would have just one-shot them. So I needed to chip down some of his screens for a couple turns to actually get the rapid ingress that I wanted.
Quick question, Trae. Was there any thoughts to overwatching this Jaeger unit with the Terminators? I know how devastating the Terminators can be in shooting. Was there any thought to overwatching them when they strung out?
So no, because I was like, I can deal with this in my turn. I don't want to waste that free strat and potentially lose tempo on my rapid ingress on my Terminators. It would have been really nice. He made sure to stay out of 12 of my flamers and any of my combi weapons, so it would have only been 9 shots, rerolling hits sustained. Not really the math I really want to look for. So it's like maybe I kill 3 and then my tempo for the game is just completely ruined, right? So I just thought it more beneficial because it's sorry, I forgot. This Hecaton did come out. This is one of those baits I've talked about, Phil, where you don't know if I'm baiting you or not. This, I just didn't want him to shoot the Rhino. I just put it here because I'm like, if I get turn 1, I need the tempo. But he shoots it. My gamble pays off because math, you don't always kill a rhino. He brings my rhino down to 2 wounds,
Ah,
which is great, great for me. That rhino's still alive. It's still a good piece. But yeah, so this is the end of that turn. Going into my turn 1. I do not. I get slightly decent secondaries, but not the greatest. You'll see how I mess this up, Phil. You'll be very disappointed in me. So I get no prisoners, which could not ask for better in this scenario. So if we go to the score, he gets 5 on each of these, and that's just a huge scoring round turn 1 when you can have a lot of duds. So no prisoners and marked for death, the biggest dud turn 1 there is. Besides, selecting a gamma, which Phil, I failed to kill my gamma.
no.
Yeah. So what I did here, ooh, I forget. So with his Capricus carrier, there were actually 3 units of Jaegers on the board. Before I forget, so this was actually a little more prickly than it was, Phil. These had gotten out of this carrier, advanced, and were screening this guy over here.
Oh, even worse.
Yep. So a tough nut to crack indeed. So what I did my turn, the first thing I did, so what I like doing against reactive moves, Phil, is I like triggering them immediately. I'm like, I don't like thinking about what you can do, so how about you think about it? So what I did, I auto 6-inch advanced Huron to get him here, and I triggered every single reactive move and just strung out my chosen like this. And I basically said, do it now, essentially. Like, let's figure this out now. He just rolled, so he rolled a 1 on these guys, didn't move them. Uh, these dudes, I don't think they were like fully screening the Sagittar yet, so he just scooched them back a little to fully screen it from my charge. And then these dudes, he snuck back behind the wall with their react, right? So now I can do my whole turn with full knowledge of everything he can do. He ends up, I think, firing Overwatch for free because I think these guys were a little closer back. So my chosen were these guys. I had a little more room to work, so my chosen kind of strung this way. But one of the hecatons could see me. Oh yeah, it was this one. He saw her on. He overwatched me and killed a chosen and then like left 1 on 2 wounds, which, not the end of the world. It's for free with Uthar. Something I just had to deal with. Afterwards, this rhino on my turn heals up to 3 wounds. It goes in this terrain feature. And I actually put this unit not an inch away from the wall, but enough space to put models, essentially. My thought process behind this has Mom and 5 legionaries. It is nowhere close to like my biggest piece. So if he shoots this hecaton forward 10, gets out 6, and on our layouts, this terrain feature was cut off a little more. So he would have been able to fully see this rhino from here very easily. So if he shot the hecaton forward, pushed this one forward, popped the rhino and killed Mom, I would get his 6 man unit for free,
The
essentially.
Thunderkin, yep.
Yep. So that was my thought process here. I'm like, here's a 3 wound rhino. You do with it what you will. I brought Biles rhino up, of course, keeping some spacing between the 2 so he can't wrap them both with 1 unit. And so I had plenty of space to get out models between them. My cultists just did a little bit of a screen. They spaced themselves out. I'm not going to go perfect movement just to get the idea across. And then Rhino 3, I got out Cypher and 5 Legionaries. I declare my Gamma as this unit, Phil. This unit right here. I'll tell you of the tragic things that happen with this unit, Phil. It's round 6 of a GT, so I forget that they're T5 and not T4. So my bolt pistol's wounding them on 5s. But legionaries get out. The rhino hit a nasty advance, got to like I think he hit like such a crazy advance that he was actually able to toe touch this objective. I rolled a 6 on that. And then these legionaries just strung out, screened the rest of my backfield while being able to threaten this objective here or get back in a rhino if need be. My turn comes across. Chaos Rhino 1 fires at these guys, kills a couple. These 4 chosen finish them off. Cypher shoots at these Jaegers, does not kill a single one, Phil. A single one. Not a single one. It was very sad. And then this Rhino, because these runes were more open, shot pot shots at these Jaegers and Huron's Flamer as well, ends up picking up all of them because I can firing deck the nice guns that are attached to Mom and whatever. So I shot a las cannon, imitation las cannon, and a couple of other things. And then I charged Huron into this Sagittar with my 2 special weapons and then strung back with 2 dudes. I forgot that I was OC2, but thinking I was OC1. But either way, I took this objective from him. And the plan was to kill this Sagittar so he couldn't use the stratagem and scam primary.
Sure.
The Sagittar lived on 3 wounds,
Yeah.
sadly, which, math, it's decently in my favor to kill it. It might be a little sketchy, but I was willing to make that gamble. So this is the end of my turn. I leave him a very interesting nut to crack with this unit of Chosen here because they have a reactive move with Huron. If I roll a 6, or 5, I could have very easily gotten to the other side of this terrain feature. His whole army could not have interacted with me. Which what I was hoping was the Sagittar pops and he has to move stuff one at a time, right?
Sure.
But because it didn't die, he got to move his whole army and then just move the Sagittar at the end. So he didn't risk my reactive move screwing over too much. So that turn, I only got 4 for no priz and no mark for death, so I ditched that for some CP, and we move on to the next turn.
Yeah,
Any
so going
feedback you
into
have
this
for me,
turn,
Phil?
yeah, so going to this turn, I had some really interesting thoughts. So, right, Rhinos are OC2 and Cypher is 1. So you have 3 OC currently on this objective. He is already in a great position with this cat carrier to deny your primary next turn,
Yes.
which is obviously something that we have to be very cognizant of. The other thing that stands out to me is I like this play. I like putting pressure on
Mm-hmm.
our opponent's face because I think it forces them to make decisions. And obviously, Huron is incredibly important for Huron's Marauders. But on the flip side, you can't put yourself in a position where you're not willing to sacrifice a unit for the success of your game plan. So
Yes.
obviously, this was part of your game plan. You're more than willing to do it. Obviously, the math didn't work out in killing the Sagittar. I think there's a few things that your opponent's going to be able to do. I think the first thing, and I don't know if he does it this way, we're about to find out, but I would have 6-inch disembarked and I would have blocked out the backside of you so you couldn't get to the other side of the wall. Like I would have ran the unit wholly within the 6 all the way down this line. Outside of an inch to try to force, if you do get a reactive, to not allow you to get to the other side of the wall. This is great. Like giving up Huron to deny 5 primary, awesome. But obviously he's going to get it on the center most likely, or we'll see where he goes. But I think I prefer him going in the center and then stringing them this way to as long as it's within the 6. You know what I'm saying? To just block them out.
Yeah. So this was actually very interesting. So because the way I was laid out, he could not string between the 2 of them.
Yep.
So what he did, so at the beginning of his turn, of course, he drew a display of might and no prisoners, which I'm like, shucks, great secondaries again.
Yep.
No. But this is also what I always tell people is, this is a game of random chance. If you're getting upset by the random chance, stop playing 40k right now. Like it's like you'll save yourself so much time just by not getting upset. But I always like to take everything in stride. No prisoners display. Very easy for him to score. I put a lot of stuff in his face. And this is very interesting. Of course, I reminded him, I'm like, hey, This unit, Huron, it reactive moves. Anything in my army can blood surge. Cypher shoots you back. That's everything that can happen in your turn besides, normal stratagems, right? Stratagems that both me and him have. That's what I like. I tell my opponents about everything unique that I can do in their turn, and then, like heroic stuff like that. I don't mention it because I'm like, we both have the knowledge that heroic or rapid ingress is a thing, right? It's not my job to remind you of those things. It's my job to remind you of what my army does that is different. Um, so beginning of his turn, he actually gets the warriors out and takes this objective back from me, to sticky it. Which fantastic play, because instead of the center where I can take the sticky away very easily, this allows him to just leave his natural and not have anything on it at this point. So he goes ahead, he stickies that objective. I'm in a unique situation here where I actually force his warriors to stay here because what was I gonna say? Since I have models on here, sure, he can score it in his command phase and sticky it, but the second he gets off of this point, I take the sticky off and regain control in his shooting phase.
Sure.
So that's something pretty important there. So his turn, he keeps the ATV in combat. He brings out this carrier, touches on my home. Because I have 3 OC, I got pretty lucky with this advance getting this Rhino on here because it forced him to commit more resources. But Capricus, Jaegers come out onto that point, and then he stages these Jaegers up closer to the wall to wrap my Rhino. Hecaton presses forward a little more, so he's within 6 of the center. Steeljacks, for the most part, stay where they are, but something key about the terrain we had at this event, it extended all the way out to here. So the Steeljacks were kind of placed in this orientation with the strategist on the point, and not a single Steeljack was on the point, just the strategist attached. This Hecaton kind of went here to get line of sight on my chosen with his whole big brick of Thunderkin coming out with character, staying very nice and tight in his deployment zone. He doesn't want to expose this to anything crazy in my army. He wants to keep this as live as long as possible to hit Terminators with it. Draws line of sight here onto these dudes. The warriors kind of backed up a bit to here, and he put his Capricus carrier on the other side of this wall. Fantastic play by him, just keeping me from reactivating behind that wall. And then finally, he falls back his Sagittar and lets me reactive move. So I reactive move where Huron's as close as possible to this carrier so that in the event that he activates and doesn't kill my full unit, Huron can blood surge, touch this carrier, and more than likely kill it. However, that does not happen. He proceeds to one-shot this unit with his Thunderkin, which, was fair. He was like, so here's 20 plus saves at damage 3. And I was like, what? say that again, please. How many? The 4-ups were not on my side. His Jaegers and carrier just decide to put pot shots at this Rhino in the back. He chipped it down a couple wounds. Because if he shoots Cypher here, Cypher will very easily pick up a bunch of models in return. This Rhino ends up taking a damage at some point to something, I forget, but it was down to 2 wounds at this point. Jaegers charge and fully wrap my Rhino. And this is where I make what I'd say is a very fantastic play. So I currently cannot get out from this Rhino. And he attacks me. He doesn't do any damage. Usually I'm not dark pacting Rhinos in melee because it's wasted wounds if I fail. However, in this situation, I'd love to get out within 6. And I have just enough wounds where it can kill my Rhino. I do not get that. However, when I dark packed, I hit a 6. I get sustained. And off of that extra damage, I kill 2 Jaegers. So now my Rhino is completely opened up to get out. I did not rapid ingress my Terminators. I also didn't really care about screening this spot because all he had was something funny in the game that almost happened was he picked up his bikes, he went through his whole movement phase, and then he almost passed it to me for rapid. So my Terminators were almost able to rapid back here. So close. And then I go, end of your movement phase, and he's like, yeah, no. And brings his bikes back down. And I was like, ah, shucks. You got me there, sonny boy. But very good turn by him. This kind of doesn't go in his favor, and this is where I start blowing this game open a little more in my favor. So now the next turn, I have a bunch of trash to deal with again, and I have to decide how I'm going to go about this without completely throwing my whole army away. The first thing is the Masters of the Maelstrom and Legionaries. They get out of this Rhino. I spend 2 CP to auto 6-inch advance them and advance and charge them. So this turn, I got a very vital, I got Assassination, which would usually be a dud without this unit coming out. So it was Assassination, which on his turn, he scores max secondaries again, and he got a 10 on primary, which, very big. And then he got a 4 on no prisoners because he killed Huron and his squad. I got Assassination and Recover assets. Recover, not a bad pull. It's 3 points, and I only get a 5 on primary this turn. He did a very good job at denying me. So something fun with this list is Katargarix right here so if you come over here, this model, the Masters of Execution looking one, he has anti-character 2-up precision. So he's very vital in getting rid of this strategist. He was at the very front. I strung back all the good guns like my las cannon, everybody with decent guns in the back. So I could, possibly plank off some wounds off of this, help kill this stuff in the back. And then Rhino 1 just kind of stayed where it was at for the moment. This Rhino actually backed up a little bit. He just kind of stayed on the objective. Nothing happened. Legionaries stayed in the back to screen out another turn because after this, his strategic reserves could come into my deployment zone, so I still needed to screen out everything. And then I fell back this Rhino and rolled a desperate escape because what I was going to do was move here and deny this Hecaton from taking the center and basically denying him from doing the scam stratagem.
Sure.
I failed the desperate escape and the Rhino died. Phil, it gets worse. Don't worry.
No.
Oh boy. So I get out my Chosen because I'm like, okay, the way I have him here is they basically got out, we strung like 3 dudes in the back, had Mr. Dudley in the very back. Just kind of like this, all special weapons in the front. I always do that so they can touch in melee and bile. This Rhino then tries to do it. If you can see, Phil, I needed to roll a 2 on the advance to fully deny him from this. You want to know what I rolled, Phil? I rolled a 1. Rolled a 1 on that advance, Phil. So my 1-inch denial could not cover the very tip of this, and because his warriors are OC2, he could very easily take that from me. And I was like, oh, shoot. Well, I still want this Rhino here for him to have to deal with it, and for me to be able to, take his sticky off in his turn if he does. And then my Chosen are staged to interact with the center. His Jaegers ended up not reactive moving. They kind of did this, and they just get finally, my reserves. I bring in my Noise Marines in this little pocket here to be safe and shoot off that Capricus carrier. So my shooting phase comes around with all my trash shooting. The carrier dies, Jaegers in this carrier die, and then the Jaegers in the center die. We go to my charge phase. I think I might have had like a 10-inch charge on these warriors, 10 or 11. I tried to because they were kind of like this, I think. But I tried to like bang a super long charge. It didn't happen. It was just like, would have been kind of cool if it did, but it's okay. And then he did end up overwatching my legionaries, basically killing a chain sword and then my 2 3 wound models. So was left a little bit bare, but I charged in and I had Qatar here with basically Garlon here, and then, the rest of my unit uh being able to pile in later over yonder with that charge. He made a very bad mistake here. He heroicked with Uthar. I only wanted the character out of the Steeljacks and to tie them up. So what happened was Qatar and Garlon attacked the Steeljacks. I end up precisioning out his character, and then I think I killed 2 Steeljacks and had kept them tagged. He pulled from the back. But either way, I could have piled in. I kept him tagged here. And then the whole rest of my unit attacked these guys. Because both units were on the point, I got full wound rerolls.
Yeah.
I completely wiped Uthar and his 5 warriors. Easily. I flip his home. And I'm feeling pretty good about myself in this position. Anything to say, Phil, afterwards?
Yeah, I think this is something good to show, because if I just move this guy out, right, and obviously you telling prior to the game starting, like, obviously legionaries re-roll all wounds if you're on an objective. If he was to just string these boys out here along the front, and then the second unit would be behind, or just be an inch off the wall, because these are not combat
Yep.
steeljacks. These are just,
No, they are not.
they're shooting steeljacks. They should be an inch off the wall almost always to force that charge to come all the way around, and then not be on that objective at all, because we know how fast on layout 1, as you showed, like, it is very easy to get in with the auto 6-inch advance and a 6-inch move. Like, it's very easy to get on this unit. You really want to be an inch off the wall. You really want to be protecting it, unless you have like an incredibly good combat unit. So for me, I was putting Victrix Guard here, and that's completely different, because I could put Victrix Guard all the way up against the wall and say, yeah, come fight me. Like, I'm not on the objective. I'm an inch off the wall. I have a 2-inch base save with AOC, and I'm 3 wounds apiece. I'm gonna murder whatever you bring up, and that's okay. But because he didn't do that, you were able to get around, and most importantly, get line of sight with your precision character onto the actual character you needed a precision. Because if you had to fight them, let's say hypothetically, through the wall, if they were, if they were precision like this, but they had to be within an inch of the wall, and you had to fight them this way, well, they would never have line of sight on the character, which means they couldn't have precisioned him out. But because he left that gap, because he had him all the way up against the wall, it made that charge a lot easier for you.
Exactly. And the biggest thing is back here in this ruin. The reason he had them up against the wall and with the spot open is because he expected that rhino to be wrapped. And, that's just another place where the dice, my rhino, I got a 6, was able to kill a couple dudes and dig myself out of these Jaegers,
Yep.
essentially, which was a huge boon for me. And also helped a lot that I was also, that I had planned ahead of time, leaving enough space for my models to fit here. Because instead of, wrapping me and this way, essentially, uh, and basically if I'm up an inch off the wall, there's way less space for me to double rank guys on this side.
Yeah.
So he could have wrapped me so much easier. But because I made that preemptive play, just killing 2 dudes left plenty of room to get out my whole entire unit
Yep.
right there.
For sure.
However, the stratagem again, Phil, the bane of my existence. Oh my God. I will say this was the most impactful turn he had for it. So my unit back here, I score 3 on my recover. I score 5 on assassinate because I just murderized 2 characters. We're gonna go to the beginning of his turn 3. And he gets fantastic secondaries once again, absolute legend. So something to really take note of. So Cypher over here actually failed a Dark Pact and went down to 2 wounds. So rolled a 3 on damage, Cypher goes down to 2 wounds. This is important a little later. So he gets assassinate and what was the other one? assassinate and extend battle lines. So we're going to pull out, let's see. I had it before, so we'll just put it here. Assassinate and extend. So that right there is a very easy 9 points here. Well, the Cypher one was a little sketchy, but we'll get to that soon. And then at the beginning of his turn, he makes, oh my god, this was gross. So this 10-man unit of warriors, he tags 2 here and then strings them out. Bro, I think a blood vessel popped on my forehead whenever this happened. Because, oh boy, was very good play by him. Nothing against him. But I didn't have nearly as many models on this objective as we do here. It was basically like only one dude was on there. There was like more room in this rune than we show, but he very easily takes it back and scores a 15 on primary. After all of that, Phil, I could not deny a single point of primary. Oh boy, was that sad.
That is a disgusting play.
It's horrific. It is so saddening. His last turn, he had healed the Sagittar up to 6 wounds. It was on 3 after my turn with Huron attacking it. And he does some very good stuff. So he falls these Steeljacks back. They go to the other side of this wall. They were because of the way I tagged them, they were very well within range of a blood surge. Of course, I remind my opponent again. I'm like, army-wide blood surge. I do it at the beginning of their turn, so they have full knowledge, and then we continue on. Right? He picks up his bikes again off the board. This objective here, so we'll change some colors to let everyone know what is sticky for which player. Which I think it's state. Yeah, 6 blue, and his home, he's got to keep it on there, but that's stickied, and the center is going to be stickied as well. He moves this warrior unit back. Just normal moves. Because he's strung out so much, he had to stay strung out, fell back those Steeljacks. This Hecaton, I believe, came over here. It was touching on this point to continue out OCing my Rhino, so I didn't get rid of that sticky. Sagittar came staged. He made sure he was within 10 of these guys, so a 1-inch advance could get those gosh darn warriors back in the Sagittar. And then he packed up this unit of Thunderkin, put it back in his Hecaton, and drove it to here. And then these Thunderkin just kind of staged. And then his 3 Thunderkin from reserves, because I made sure his Hecaton with the normal move could not get within 12 of Cypher. So it forced his Thunderkin out here. And his bikes then proceed to come here and string out. They're not on the objective. They stayed back. So on our terrain that we were on, they were outside of 12 of these guys. But boop. So the terrain didn't matter here. In his shooting phase, he shot my legionaries with a Hecaton. He killed it down to, I think the sorcerer was over here. He killed it down to my aspiring champion with the banner and a power fist, Garlon, and my basically apothecary. They blood surge, tagged the Steeljacks. So I preserve that unit, which is very good for me. He shoots, he kills my Rhino. He shot the Hecaton down this way at the Noise Marines. I got pretty decent saves going, and he only killed 3. And then he shot all 3 of these Thunderkin into Cypher. He only got 1 wound through, because he's in the point where he only gets +1 to hit if he's on an objective. So rolled a bunch of 1s, 2s, and 3s, got 1 lethal through. I failed the 4-up Bone. Oh, I forget to mention I rapid ingress my Terminators here, and I put them back here. He leaves me a pocket to where I can rapid within 9 of this Hecaton and outside of the range of those bikes. So I had a very nice pocket back here.
Oof, that is devastating.
Because I do the math in my head, and I'm like, okay, one hecaton shooting them is not going to do nearly enough, right? To my Terminators, and like I'll be fine. Like he shot, and I think he killed 2, right? Which I'm like, cool. I'm completely fine with that. Great. I'm in a great spot for the cost of 2 Terminators. Perfect. Oh boy, do I blunder these Terminators, Phil. He shoots Cypher. I reroll Cypher's 1 invuln. I do not make it. He gets assassinate, and Cypher does not shoot them back.
No.
Very sad. So that's the end of his turn. And we go through my next turn. So I decided we'll use a Terminator to represent the anti-character 2-up guy. But basically, in his turn, I kill 2 Steeljacks. In return, he brings like my 4-wound guy down to 2 wounds because I don't want to lose a model. I just prefer to take some wounds on one of the high health dudes. And then we go to my turn. So here we go. And then on his turn, he scores that assassinate, which that 4-up invuln, that's a big swing on points right there. A 5-up swing on a 4-up, 5-point swing. Oh boy. So kill. So already, as you can see, Phil, it's 62 to 27. This is a huge points differential.
Yes, yes, it is.
Yeah. So I have a sprint ahead of me. And in my next turn, I get Defend Stronghold and Area Denial. Oh boy, did I not want to see these. It's still points, but I get a 10 on primary, and we go into my next turn. I move up the Terminators to where they have a 4-inch charge into the Hecaton, but it's not a
Real
4-inch
quick.
charge. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a few things that stood out to me going into this turn. I think there's a world where I would have disembarked at the end of any phase. Or is it once per battle round can you use disembark strat?
It's any of his phases, not my phases.
Well, can you only use it once per turn?
Yes, once per. I
Okay.
believe it's once per turn. Let's double check that, but just want to make sure we're giving everyone the correct info.
End of any phase, if units from your army have hostile acquisition. No, it's not restricted to.
Yeah. Oh, I think what it was, Phil, was at this point I had been taxing his CP very heavily. So he was either out of CP. Oh, I
Well,
actually have the
I
chart.
think the restriction on he just embarked within it, and you cannot embark and disembark in the same turn.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
he
I
has
think that was
locked
it.
himself up in there. By doing that, even the strat doesn't get you out of that. So
Yeah.
yeah, for me
That was a big
specifically,
thing there.
correct. Getting back in with the 6-man, I don't necessarily love because obviously that 6-man is great at killing Mom and the Legionnaires here. And he could have used the strat to or he could have just been in a better position to pick up this full unit and prevent it from blood surging and living. But then obviously they're exposed at that point, and this Terminator brick, which you have to screen out, right? Like you cannot let this thing deep strike behind you, which is why I probably like leave the Hecaton here and be happy with that, and then just move the Thunderkin to the other side so they can shoot this unit.
Yeah, I definitely see that. And, I think this is the best example of round 6 of a GT. You've
Yeah,
seen both of us make slight mistakes, but we're still, playing a very high level game here.
sure. Yep,
And there's always stuff to learn from every game, right?
correct.
And I think
Absolutely.
that's definitely a really good one. But it ends up not screwing him over because don't worry, these Terminators do nothing. So I get small area denial. Oh wait, no, we're still on my turn, right? So in my subsequent turn, these guys move forward. And something to note, these guys were against the wall, the Thunderkin, but I did not pre-measure the charge. They ended up being 7 inches away from my Terminators, whereas the Hecaton was 4 inches away.
Okay.
I thought they were both 4 inches away, Phil. So I declared a dual charge. Phil, I rolled a 4-inch on my, so I rolled a 3, and then I rolled a 4, and I was like, thank God I made the charge. And then we were like, oh shit. No, I did not. So these Terminators missed their charge, Phil.
Oh no.
Oh, they did. But we'll go through the rest of the turn anyways. These Noise Marines get onto this terrain feature, giving themselves cover. My Chosen over here, auto advance. I choose fallback, shoot, and charge. One of the few times in the whole tournament I actually chose fallback, shoot, and charge for this Legionary unit over here, because now I moved the Terminators first to get his Overwatch out. He got it. I got his Overwatch out, so now these guys are free to move. Right?
Sure.
Didn't have to worry about it. Whatever. That's my personal thing. Is anything reactive, I try to give you something to do it immediately, so you have to question if you're going to do it or not, right? So these guys come back to threaten his home again. My
I will say,
Legionary,
while
yeah,
Trae says that, there is the other side of it, and I like doing it personally in some situations where I know the place where you want to overwatch the most, and I will do all the other places to either force you to realize that, like, oh yeah, some of these places are equally as bad, and maybe you take a suboptimal Overwatch, but I'm doing it with the intent of, like, I'm going to take advantage of the fact that I know this is where you want to Overwatch, and I'm going to I'm going to do all my other movements prior to that point.
exactly. I do that as well sometimes, but usually I'm just brute force it. I'm like, I'm gonna trigger as many things as possible so I can work with full knowledge. And there is definitely both sides to that coin right there. And this time it just worked for me a couple times.
Absolutely.
So these Legionaries, now that I'm basically have a beeline on these Pioneers to kill them, and everything he has is on the board. I get them into Rhino 3 now, and then out of that Rhino come the Noise Marines. We're gonna play. Rhino pushes forward so I can threaten another unit on his home later, and also to charge to tie these things up if they don't die. I shoot all my Chosen into these warriors. I kill a decent chunk of them. Also shooting, the mom unit. Noise Marines, absolute champions. Shoot, kill all the Pioneers. They had like a 10-inch charge or something into the Sagittar to try and basically hit the charge and string out to unsticky that objective. It didn't happen, but it was a play worth making. Um, and then my Chosen charge the Hecaton, kind of wrap it up. They got a low charge, so I was able to keep everybody pretty centralized. Everybody was able to fight. And then my Rhino made a nice charge here. Oh, and then in shooting, basically Noise Marines wiped this off the face of the earth. And then I think like they chipped another Steeljack, but I know there was 2 at the end of this turn. And then the mom unit, getting even more value, charges into Grimnir and his dudes, kills the rest of them, and I take his home objective once again. And then my Terminators, like I had teased, they missed their charge. Oh boy, was I not happy about that. I was like, oh crap, this is bad. This is very, very bad. Chosen did a ton of damage to this Hecaton. However, the strat comes to bite me once again as well, hold on. So this is the end of my turn. We won't get too ahead of ourselves now. We go through. This is good. A big thing to note, I always keep my cultists within 6 inches of the board edge so I can pick them up late game
Sure.
for an extra action piece if need be.
Makes total sense.
After this turn, we scored defend right away because he had nothing to get back here at all. I have him completely pushed back. There's no way in the world he gets that. I got small area denial because the Hecaton was not within 3 of the center. It was just toe touching because earlier, as you saw, that Rhino was right here. But afterwards, anything of note fell to this turn?
No, I think you're doing as best you can. The fact that this mom unit lived, I think, is the most important part. Like, all this other stuff is inconsequential. Like, yes, okay, you got chosen into an HLF, then failing the charge actually doesn't feel like, yes, is it great if you make it? Absolutely, because it ties up these 2 units. and you potentially probably pick up the Thunderkin relatively easily. But it ties up both these units. But overall, like you're doing your best you can. But this mom unit being alive, I think, is the most important part.
Oh, exactly. That unit did so much work. It cracked the game open completely and let me get myself into a good position to score. Um, we'll go into the beginning of his turn 4. Uh, this very pivotal turn, um, where I can start scoring. So, as I said at the beginning, the stratagem comes to bite me again, Phil. These guys come out, they touch this, and Hecaton plus these guys easily out OC all my chosen.
Yep, sure.
Without much struggle, he's out OCing me completely.
Yep. So he gets a 10 on primary for pretty much free, even though you've pushed
Yup.
him onto his natural, onto his home.
Yeah. He gets a 10 on primary. He doesn't have his home anymore, and I'm sitting here like, gosh darn it, dude. Can I please keep you from scoring primary? And I finally do it later in the game, but it was a rough ride. So he got defend stronghold, which I was like, yes, finally, right? Uh, so he got defend and storm hostile, which I'm like, oh shoot, that's pretty easy for him here, right? I have a unit on his home field objective in front of the killiest unit in his army. So here he basically moves his Hecaton, toe taps that objective. He gets out his big Thunderkin brick, kind of strings them out in the back. He wants to keep them safe. He makes sure they all have line of sight on my Terminators back here. These guys get out. I overwatched the crap out of them. So I killed 2 and left 1 on 1 wound here, which that's pretty big for me. I saved my last CP to get these cultists up. The Sagittar actually now moves here between these 2 objectives. The warriors are chilling here. And Hecaton stays in, and these Steeljacks actually fall back behind this wall with 1 touching the point as well. In his turn, he goes to shooting. He split fires these guys because now if I Blood Surge, he made sure the Hecaton was closest, so I just Blood Surge, and Hecatons ignore modifiers to hit, so I just essentially waste a CP. So I just let these guys take a little bit of split fire from the Thunderkin. They proceed to die to the Hecaton, and then the rest of the Thunderkin absolutely eviscerate my Terminator brick,
No.
leaving just my captain here. He was left, I think, on 3 wounds. Very sad. Sorry. So Grimnir over here actually lived by himself. He was
That's
on 2
impactful. Yeah.
wounds, and he falls back to here. And this is pretty big here. So he shoots off. I think he like killed a pretty decent chunk of chosen. I think he killed I think it was like 6 besides so I was left with all the special weapons, the little Dudley guy, and Fabius Bile. And I was like, oh shucks. Like dang. I did not expect that at all. Oh wait, no. He killed some more in Overwatch. So I had like 1 or 2 dudes. I had like 6 dudes. But we'll get to that in a second. But basically, this Hecaton shot everything. It shot its big guns into this Rhino. Rhino gets popped. Legionaries come out right here. And then I think I lost, like, after that, I lost 2 dudes, right? So I just have a heavy melee weapon and a chainsword. Well, 2 heavy melee weapons and a chainsword left. That's all I need. And at this point, he scores another 10 on primary, and he has defend pending, and he gets storm hostile objective, which at this point it's like, oh crap, I gotta make up 34 points right now. I need to go.
Yep. In 2
So
turns.
oh yeah, so at the end of my turn I save that CP, I pick up these cultists, and we go. anything to add to his turn here? He also shoots this Sagittar and kills 2 Noise Marines. There's 1 left.
Interesting. Um, I would much prefer to see this Sagittar be a little more aggressive. I think there's a lot of value, especially with the one Noise Marine being alive. Like if the Sagittar instead goes, on this side and then charges and ties this thing up, or even tank shocks it. Like I don't care if it kills it. I just don't want it to be here. Um, and I am curious about this allocation of splitting the Thunderkin. Obviously, they're so efficient into your 3-man units. I'd be curious
Yeah,
if the HLF could have done it on its own. Um, and then instead of bringing this 3-man over the wall, right, to get overwatched, there's probably a world where he probably would go back and be like, actually, I don't need to bring them out. Like they just stay here and they combine in the shooting with everything else because stripping cover does nothing because the second you strip cover, they're just going to move and blood surge out of line of sight.
exactly. And I would fully agree. This is, the epitome of last game of the
Correct.
GT.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
And
No, nothing. This is all about
yeah,
learning, right? Seeing things that
exactly,
we can
right?
do because
And reassessing this myself, I'm even thinking about the ways I could have done better, right? Like, I think this Terminator play was great, but reselecting where they go would definitely be huge. And then, maybe it was worth it to, instead of risking the desperate escape on this Rhino, would just, doing the advance here. Uh, but yeah, there's definitely a lot to learn from looking back over this game.
yeah, absolutely.
So, my turn 4, I get extend battle lines and a tempting target. So I'm like, yes, finally some good stuff. Some good secondaries are going on. Uh so I got extend, he scores his storm, defense stronghold is pending, and a tempting target. So he tempts me at this objective over here. I move this noise marine. He overwatches it, so I can't get it for free there.
Kills it.
Yeah,
Devastating.
and then I know for a fact I had 4 chosen and uh the little guy left. So I move them like this. I make sure there's a way because on our terrain it did not go this far, so there was a little slit open. So I made sure with the way his Sagittar was that all my dudes were like kind of chilling right here, so that they could charge the Sagittar, shoot everything into these dudes. My noise marines move forward, and then my cultists come in on the board edge to hold this objective so my noise marines can go get some work done. And because he already overwatched, I actually moved these legionaries earlier than I did that noise marine, but I basically kept them on this side of the wall, avoid the free overwatch or the hecaton overwatch. And then this model was still out here, so my Terminator moves forward. Uh, my subsequent shooting phase, I killed this guy who was on 1 wound with my Terminator. I shoot off these guys, and then I ended up killing his Hecaton in his turn. So that wasn't even there. It was in melee because he stayed stuck in to actually shoot because he was
Sure.
very, very lax on CP at that point. So that's dead. Both of these objectives are still stickied because I was a little dumb. I did not leave a model here for the end of the shooting phase to flip it. It ends up being okay because whenever I charge, I tag the objectives, I wrap it, make sure I have a guy over off this objective, and then I pile on, tag both objectives after it dies, and we're looking good. That dies, I string out, unsticky both of these, um, and then my legionaries come, they charge, kill the steeljacks, 6 OC right there. Oh, I accidentally deleted that hecaton. We're just going to put, I don't have a hecaton, so this rhino will be a hecaton for now. Because at this point in the game, oh, did you
Just
rewind
back
it?
it up.
Okay, sweet, perfect. So these steeljacks die. I flip his home. I unsticky both of the no man's land objectives and flip his home. Chaos Lord and Terminator armor charges here. Uh, he kills Grimnir, and then he comes in and tags these dudes right here. So just still getting value. I got a 10 on primary that turn, and then I get extend and tempting. Tempting. And then we go into his final turn. He gets a 0 on primary. Finally,
Yeah.
I stubbed his toe enough, and uh he got overwhelming force,
Tough.
which he can definitely get. Uh O force, overwhelming, and he originally gets secure no man's land, which he cannot get at this point. He redraws it into established locust, where he can super not get that. So his turn goes by. We kind of talked it through at this point. We were cool with him killing everything over here. He had plenty of stuff to do it. Um, and then it just went to my final turn. Uh, he scores a 3, so leaves his final score at 79. Ditch both of these. And then we get to my almost very unfortunate card draws, because the first one is I get Storm Hostile, which is very. Oh, just wait until you see the next one, Phil. And then Bring It Down.
Oh.
So I'm guaranteed. I pass my battle shock on Bile, so I'm guaranteed to get a 15 here. So I need minimum 4 points. So I'm like, this card redraw has to matter. So I ditch Bring It Down. It's the one that's definitely not happening, and I get Cleanse. And we're like, great. I get 5. I get 5 points here. I cleanse both objectives, and I win by 2 points.
Wow. Came down to a redrawed secondary objective.
It did, and it was oh so close. This was a very good game. Shout out to Cody for a fantastic game. And yeah, that's how it went.
Well, no shocker there. Final round of the GT. It makes sense that it came down to the wire. It makes sense that it came down to a coin flip. Um, nothing surprising there. So I'm glad you had a great final game.
Oh yeah, it was a fantastic time. I had a blast.
Okay, Trae, you and I have talked about it multiple times, and for those that are watching at home, this is the first time we've kind of done a full-on recap on TTS, and we would love your feedback. So one of the most important things is, Trae, Lane, myself, all the rest of the guys that contribute to Mastercrafted, we care about showing you the best 40k content available because we do this for the love of the game. We do this because we love talking about 40k. So if this is something that would benefit you, if you like the full talk throughs on TTS or along those lines, let us know and we can look at doing stuff like this in the future. If you want me to recap some of my games from this past weekend, I definitely can. Lane can as well. Yeah, and we just like talking about 40k. Trey, do you have any kind of thoughts? Any feedback from the tournament in and of itself?
Final thoughts, just play what you want, play your game plan, play what you're good at. Sometimes teching for the meta does more harm. You could be like Ben Neal where you win the whole tournament. Or you could tech for Catan and have a run like me where you don't encounter a single Catan. And that was a blessing in of itself for me.
Sure.
Well, play the army you want, and I promise you'll do well. Just put in the work.
At the end of the day, this is a hobby and we are looking to enjoy our hobby. So good. I'm glad you enjoyed yours. I'm glad you enjoyed your weekend. Everyone at home, thank you so much for tuning in and enjoying all our content. And do not forget, victory isn't given, it's forged. And it's forged right here on Mastercrafted.